With the announcement that legendary promoter Paul Heyman has been appointed Executive Director of Raw, fans are eager to see if the first July 2019 edition of Monday Night Raw will be an improvement. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at whether this week's edition of Monday Night Raw was the best of the year. Tonight's Raw is in Dallas, Texas, and the show gets off to an unusual start as there's an announcement about what matches the fans can expect to see. Even more refreshing is that the show starts off with a match rather than a 20-minute promo. For those long in the days of WWE snafus, the camera crew does open the show and accidentally shows NXT Tag Team Champions the Street Profits backstage, spoiling their appearance later on. As bad as that was, it was nothing compared to the WWE's Instagram post that contained a glaring typo and unintentional mention of rival All Elite Wrestling. The Instagram post read, "The NXT Tag Team Champions AEW here on Raw." Obviously, they meant R. It was a funny mistake though. We then have our first match of the night, which is a Falls Count Anywhere match between Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley. So if the WWE wanted to start off with a hard-hitting match, they couldn't have chosen better. Strowman and Lashley work a match that's ideal for them, one where they can better each other from pillar to post. It doesn't take long for this one to spill out into the crowd as fans wonder whether they've stepped onto a set of the upcoming Godzilla vs Kong film. It's an excellent brawl that ends with Strowman spearing Lashley through a Titantron LED screen, causing an explosion of pyrotechnics and fire. Announcer Corey Graves shouts out "Holy shit" during the chaos. Was this intentional? Who knows, but it's refreshing to see some actual swearing on the show. The referee rules this a no contest as emergency medical technicians rush to check on the two fallen superstars. This was an excellent brawl and a well-advised change of pace from Raw's tired open of seemingly endless promos. And the end result of this last man standing match may interestingly lead to a new stage design, as according to WrestleVotes, well, WWE was in the process of having a new stage designed and built. I wonder if this speeds up its debut. We then go on to the first time ever match between the New Day of Xavier Woods and Big E versus the Viking Raiders. It's a big bout for the Raiders as they get a chance to show what they can do against the much more experienced New Day. But the match ends abruptly when Samoa Joe runs out, pulling Woods off the mat apron. Kofi Kingston runs in for the save. The New Day win by disqualification, but the match is reset with the additions of Kofi Kingston and Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe could be one of the Viking Experience's distant cousins, as he's tough as nails and likes to hurt people. It's a good match that ends with all 6 men battling it out. However, Joe is able to lock in the Coquina clutch on Kofi as the WWE Champion passes out. The Viking Raiders and Samoa Joe win the match, making this Kofi's first official loss since WrestleMania 35. Backstage, it's time for some 24/7 championship fun as Drake Maverick brings his blindfolded wife backstage and tells her he's bringing her to Sandy Beach for their honeymoon. However, she quickly realizes it's actually Monday Night Raw and she tells him it's her or the championship. The 24/7 champion R-Truth stops by and says how much he loves romance. Elsewhere, the Good Brothers and AJ Styles are discussing their respective matches from last week. Styles tells the Good Brothers they were good, but not good enough against the Viking Raiders, while Carl Anderson tells Styles he almost lost to Ricochet. AJ Styles puts Ricochet over as the best he's ever faced, and Gallows tells Styles he doesn't think he can beat Ricochet again. Anderson even puts his wife on the line, giving Styles reason to consider the bet. We then cut to some more 24/7 fun as R-Truth dances a conga in front of Drake Maverick and Renee, who are seated in the front row. Things quickly break down as Cedric Alexander and every other 24/7 contender give chase to R-Truth. Singles match up next as No Way Jose goes up against CESARO. This must be No Way Jose's first official match on Raw for months. However, CESARO doesn't give No Way Jose a chance, attacking him before the bell and hitting a gut-wrench suplex before delivering his finisher. Charlie Caruso interviews NXT Tag Team Champions the Street Profits backstage, with Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford proclaiming they are bringing the swag back to Raw. A quick interview with The Miz as the Awesome One says he might not be 100% tonight, but he's ready to take on Elias, and that when he's done, Elias will be back to playing his guitar on the subway. Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre are in the ring, with Shane O'Mac running down both Roman Reigns and The Undertaker. Shane says Reigns was scared going into last week's handicap match, so he called on The Undertaker for help. Shane promises he and Drew will be ready at Extreme Rules. Drew says he and Shane will end The Undertaker there, but invites the Dead Man to show up tonight. It's time for a classic appearance by the Dead Man as thunder sounds and lights dim. The Undertaker makes his way to the ring as Shane and Drew take off into the crowd. The Undertaker tells Shane that he helped Roman last week on his own violation and that he's merely fulfilling his legacy as the Reaper of Souls. The Undertaker says Shane earned his respect for a time after their epic Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania, but Shane has succumbed to greed and ego. The Undertaker says he will send Shane and Drew somewhere where they'll never rest in peace. Unlike typical Shane promos, this one actually served a purpose, as it had a good follow-up setting the stage for Extreme Rules and explaining Taker's involvement in the Shane and Drew vs Roman program. Backstage, Lacey Evans is preparing for a match tonight against NATALYA, while chatting with Baron Corbin about their winner-takes-all match against Universal Champion Seth Rollins and Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch. Evans can't believe Rollins has put everything on the line just over a fling with the man. We then get the match up next, and it's a decent bout with NATALYA in control, looking to put Evans away. However, Baron Corbin trips up NATALYA, allowing Evans to hit the women's right on NATALYA for the pinfall. United States Champion Ricochet is backstage discussing his match against AJ Styles and what a privilege it was to battle a phenomenal one. This leads to the Good Brothers goading AJ into demanding a rematch by slapping Ricochet in the face. Apparently AJ thinks that's a good idea as that's just what he does. Ricochet accepts the challenge and slaps Styles back. But where were those 2 out of 3 falls matches that we've been having for the past week? Well, fear not, as Miz and Elias do battle in the ring with the stipulation. The Miz wins the first fall with a skull-crushing finale, but Elias bounces back in the second fall, defeating the Miz with the drift away. In the third fall, the Miz gets the win with the figure 4 leg lock, forcing Elias to tap out. Charlie Caruso interviews Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins about their Extreme Rules match, asking Seth if he was too impulsive about the match. Seth and Becky express their concern about Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman, before Rollins says he's not impulsive, just confident he and Becky can beat Corbin and Evans. And hey for the first time ever in weeks, or even months, Maria Kanellis shows up and mocks Rollins and Lynch, calling themselves wrestling's first couple. She tells Rollins the only reason he's champion is because he hasn't faced her husband, and that Lynch doesn't impress her. Kanellis tells Lynch if she wants to impress her, give birth like she did. We then get a recap of Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley's brutal match, and Renee Young announces that Strowman may have ruptured his spleen. We then get the mixed tag team match between Mike and Maria Kanellis versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. Things aren't going too well for Mr. and Mrs. Kanellis, so Maria tells Becky she can't wrestle because she's pregnant. A joyous Mike reacts to the news. Maria tells him that he's not manly enough to get her pregnant. Lynch pulls Mike into the ring and makes him tap out with the disarmer. After the match, Maria dresses down Mike, telling him he's a disappointment, and if she needs someone to get her pregnant, she'll call the man Becky Lynch. It's nice to see the WWE taking advantage of a situation where they can bring in another heel couple to battle Rollins and Lynch before they battle Corbin and Evans. It's a moment of bliss time, and Alexa Bliss features her guest Nikki Cross, the woman who defeated Bayley in order for Little Miss Bliss to earn her rematch against Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship at Extreme Rules. Bliss sends her well wishes for Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman. Nikki thanks Alexa for being the first person to believe in her, but then Carmella interrupts as Bliss asks why she's interrupting Nikki's special night. She then goes up against Nikki Cross, and Carmella puts up more of a fight against Nikki, but eventually gets hit with a swinging neckbreaker as Cross pins her. Not a good night for Carmella. Backstage, Drake Maverick watches R-Truth's pursuers chasing him. R-Truth sees Drake, but Drake tells him all he cares about now is his honeymoon. Drake wishes him well and turns his back, paying the price when Maverick clobbers him with a piece of luggage and gets the pin, regaining the 24/7 title. It's now time for the main event between United States Champion Ricochet versus AJ Styles. The Phenomenal One and Ricochet are set to put on what the fans know should be an instant classic. As during the match, Styles blocks a shooting star press and hits a phenomenal forearm for the pin, but Ricochet's foot is under the rope. Nonetheless, the referee awards the title to Styles. However, a second referee comes out and it's revealed the match will restart after the commercial timeout. Very clever, Vince. Styles wastes no time after the match restarts, looking to put Ricochet away for good this time. Styles hits a phenomenal forearm again, a torture rack powerbomb and a brainbuster on Ricochet, but can't pin him for the 3 count. Then Gallows and Anderson make their way out, but they prove to be no help as the one and only surprises AJ with a roll-up for the pin, and Ricochet manages to retain the title. After the match, AJ shakes Ricochet's hand as the Good Brothers step onto the mat apron. AJ confronts them, then turns his back to Ricochet and attacks him. Styles invites Anderson and Gallows in and they hit the Magic Killer on Ricochet. AJ caps things off with a Styles Clash off the middle rope as Raw ends. Now it goes without saying that tonight's Monday Night Raw was a refreshing improvement over previous weeks' show. The WWE started off right, announcing the big matches for the night and staying focused on in-ring action. The WWE hinted they may be going for a somewhat more adult tone, as Corey Graves' "holy shit" exclamation could have been bleeped out thanks to the WWE's 10-second delay, which controls what goes out on the live feed. While there were announced matches and no bait and switch, there were also impromptu matches such as Rollins LYNCH versus Mike Maria Kanellis and Carmella's 2 bouts. Raw also maintained some continuity by wrestlers bringing up their concern for Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley after their kayfabe injuries. The WWE planted the seed for the eventual showdown between Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss by having Cross ask why she's not fighting Bayley for the SmackDown Women's title instead of Bliss. Bliss's response of no comment is all that needed to be said. There's no telling whether Cross can get over, but it's good to see her getting a chance. Finally, the event actually built up the pay-per-view, whether it was a winner-take-all match or Kofi's title defense against Samoa Joe. Bray Wyatt's return to Raw was teased again, this time with Mercy the Buzzard popping up backstage while The Miz walked to the ring for his match against Elias. AJ's heel turn wasn't unexpected, but it was fun to watch. The show by far wasn't perfect. The WWE is really making things look forced thanks to its edit that matches should not continue during commercials, but tonight's Raw may have been the best of the year. The big question, as always with WWE, is whether the promotion will allow time for things to continue in the new direction. We don't know how much of the show had Paul Heyman's fingerprints on it, but it was a far better produced Raw. But there you have it guys, everything you need to know about the first July 2019 episode of Monday Night Raw. Was it the best of the year? Let us know in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.